to you, Sam. Jeebs ain't here. And while we're at it, neither Sophie or anyone else. Looks like it's just me and you, mate.
Oh, everyone's in for a treat tonight, aren't they?
These ones always go down well, don't they? Just like it's kind of like sitting at the bus, just overhearing two fucking morons just yabbering away, and you sit there and can't voice an opinion because you don't know them, and you'd be weird.
You don't voice opinions when you hear people talking bullshit.
Maybe I should. Maybe you're opening my eyes right now to a trick I've been missing out on all my life.
That leads me to a story.
Right. Freeze that for a second. Welcome to the Pacifist podcast. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us, listening, watching, whatever you're doing. It's just me and Sam tonight, as we've just rather ramblingly explained. But we'll try and we're just going to shoot the shit tonight. We're going to chat about various different stuff that's happening at the moment, stuff that's going on with us. Just general conversation. So yeah, exciting stuff. Before we hear your story, Sam, I should just say, go and check out the pacifistpodcast.com if you haven't already. Everything's there, all of our episodes, all of our merch, everything like that. Go and check it out. And please use the forums. I really want to use a forum again. But anyway, before I turn into a full-on 100% whiny bitch. Hello, Sam. You all right? Do you want to have a chat?
Hey, man. Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm good. Fuck my story. It's shit. I want to hear you be a whiny bitch. Come on, let's hear it.
No one needs to hear me being a whiny bitch.
I think people live for you being a whiny bitch, Mushu.
What if I am a whiny bitch just as a person and I don't know about it? And now I'm sitting here being like, no one wants to listen to me being a whiny bitch, and everyone's like, fucking amen. Shut up, fuck off and leave us alone.
Yeah, there's an ever so slight possibility that you are. But we all love you for it. I mean, everyone's got to have a whiny bitch friend, haven't they?
Do they?
No, they don't. It's just it's just charity.
So we're not hearing your anecdote, are we?
What was it? What was the thing? Oh, button into conversations. Yes, right. No, I do this all the time. Literally all the time. If I hear something, I've got this. It's like not having a filter. If I hear somebody talking about something I know about, I'm just like, what? They definitely need to know my opinion on the matter. And did I tell you about the playground? There's mums chatting about trying to get their kids to brush their teeth. Ever told you about that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, right. So I, like most situations in my life, have a very, very carefully constructed, what would the right word be? Not opinion. Oh, like when you put like a persona.
Right, yeah.
So like a very carefully constructed persona of being an antisocial motherfucker who just doesn't talk to anybody. And I nailed it from a little girl. I basically spoke to nobody in that playground for a full year.
Yeah. That's
did very well. Yeah, did very good. I didn't do so well with Freddie's year because ridiculously, it was my jumpers, my amazing outfits that I wear that got me into trouble. That a couple who have a kid in my boys' class and then an older kid in the same school. The older kid saw my hoodie and was like, Mum, look at his hoodie. And now I talk to them. But it just so happens that they are lovely and I don't mind talking to them. And I was still a little bit standoffish until I found out what the dad did. And then he told me and I was instantly, I was just sort of like, yeah. And then he was like, yeah, I hunt with kestrels. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, hear more about and that whole persona just came crumbling straight down. I was just like, come on, tell me more. What do you do? Do you like fly them off and they'd like hawks and stuff? And he's like, yeah, exactly that. I was told I wasn't allowed to do it, so I went out and did it. And now they pay me to do my hobby. And I was like, that's amazing.
As a persona, that's even more disturbing. Like when you're just the guy that everyone sort of weirdly avoids in the playground, like, oh, there's that quiet guy again. And then suddenly there's someone talking and you're just there over their shoulder like, you're my friend now. talk to me. Oh fuck, the big guy's talking to me. He's latched on. I don't know how to get rid of him.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not so much that. It's just that I know I've witnessed it for years. The playgrounds are just so cliquey and weird, and I've got no time for any of that bullshit. So consequently, I'm polite. I'm like, oh, hi, morning. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, it's raining. I'm already wet here. Have the dry spot, whatever. But other than that, I try not to avoid. But now I like to deliver most of those people's posts, so it's a fucking nightmare. Oh, yeah. Anyway, this wasn't the story.
You're in a job where you have to be, aren't you? You're in a job where you have to be kind of sociable at times.
Oh, yeah. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And when I'm at work, I'm super friendly most of the time. We'll come on to that later, I reckon, because it does require what could be deemed as a racist impression to tell the story. Anyway, that's not the story. So they're in the playground and I'm there, and I've had a fairly good day. I'm on time to pick the kids up, and I don't like being late. I think punctuality is important. And I'm there, and there's this gaggle of mums, and like there's always that clique. I want nothing to do with them, and they're talking about trying to get their kids to brush their teeth. And I actually had something to weigh in on it because it worked quite effectively with my boy. I go over and I was like, oh, I just heard you talking, trying to get your kids to brush their teeth. I was like, well, what I did, I don't know, it may or may not be helpful, was I took them to the dentist when I got drilled, and they watched me get drilled. And then I told them it was because I didn't brush my teeth enough, which is a lie. I brush my teeth more than enough, but they don't know that because they're children and they're a bit dumb. And consequently, for a solid couple of months, those motherfuckers were brushing like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, these mums just all turn around to me at once, and they're like, yeah, well, that's fine with your kid, but my kid's got autism and sensory disorders, and that doesn't work. And I was just like, oh, bye then. Just literally turned around, went back to my corner, haven't approached them ever again. Yeah, so.
But that's the thing, isn't it? You've got your wealth of advice, and like, I always listen to other parents when they're talking about their kids, because the amount of little tips and tricks that I've picked up which work with my two. But if you're going to shut someone down like that, it's like, well, fuck you then. You enjoy your struggles. And
yeah, if I wasn't
go on.
If I wasn't in the playground, I'd have been. That is literally what I would have said. I'd been like, oh well, fuck yourselves, and just walked away. But as I was in the playground, and obviously I would tell my children off for saying that to somebody, I was like, I probably shouldn't say it in there. But yeah, if you're listening, go fuck yourself. That's my Jesus impression.
It was good. And yeah, fuck you from me as well. There you go. little bit of support there for you, mate. Can I just elaborate on this playground rant a minute? Because there's a couple of things. You make a very good point. But there's a couple of things that literally are driving me to the point where I am going to massacre someone in a short amount of time. There's these gaggle of fucking mums, but clustered together. There's always like fucking 10 of them.
Yeah,
all clustered together at the entrance to the school where everyone has to get in through with their prams and their other little kids, because everyone's a fucking childcare expert nowadays. It's like the one thing that you do when you become a mum is just take everyone else's kids as well and look after them. And oh yeah, I'm a child carer, right? Aside from that, there they are, fucking clustered in a group. I was trying to push through them the other day so I could get my kids into school, and I overheard the conversation. They're like, well, nobody fucking social distances anyway, do they? I'm like, oh, the back of my hand is not wide enough to slap all of you as much as you deserve. It's like, you fuck it. What is wrong with it? But I could go on for hours.
No, it's fine. Because it's the same thing. Our school, the kids' school, constantly sending out emails because it's a fucking nightmare. They've got staggered fucking times at school. Yeah. Like, I'm really lucky. My kids are both on the same finishing time, and it's the later time, which should be fucking amazing. But then all these morons, they're all there, and it's like probably the only bit of social time they get in the day, and they have to have a little gossip with the other mums that they haven't seen for 5 hours. They all fucking litter the entire. So I've got to go from one end of the school. I've got to leave the school, and then I've got to walk all the way down to the other end, and it's not very far. I'm being dramatic. It's not very far. Got to go all the way down to the other fucking end to go and get Daisy. Now, if I take too long, and my boy, God bless him, is known for lollygagging. He's son of a gun. He can be slow. Anyway, so if I'm too late, then they assume that Daisy is going into after school club. Now, if she goes into after school club, it takes me another fucking 10, 15 minutes to get the bastard out of after school club to get out of there. Yeah, so I'm like trying to run down there, and there'll be 60 mums with probably 600 children along this footpath. And I'm just like, there's a footpath on the other side of the road. If you're going to just stand there, why don't you just fuck off over to the other side to leave it clear so we can get down there? It drives me spare. But it's almost as though the school can hear my thoughts, because usually after it happens, there'll be an email sent out to everybody reminding everybody that, one, they need to be fucking social distancing, and two, not to fucking loiter by the cutting gates where people need to get in and out and through. It drives me insane.
There is literally zero thought process that goes through it, and then they stand there and bitch about the very thing that they're all doing. It's so frustrating.
And the conversations they have. I mean, I try and keep it relatively. I mean, sometimes I wear an inappropriate hoodie when I go to pick up the kids, but I mean, you know, Mario having a mushroom for a willy is nature. Yeah, I ain't got a problem with that. No. But yeah, and they just talk about the most awful things whilst their kids run amok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go, ladies and gents. School playgrounds suck.
Yeah, school playgrounds do suck. I absolutely hate it. It's probably, I'm going to put it in my top 3 things that I hate the most about having children. I don't know what the other two are. I'm
interested to know what the other 2 would be.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll have a little think through the course of the chat, because there's definitely other things.
I think
one. Kids just destroy everything. I mean, I did it, so I can't really grumble too much. They're my kids. They just take after me. Little destroy.
I think every kid does it. So what happens if I do this? Crack.
Yeah. Oh, what happens if I snap this pen in half? It fucking breaks, doesn't it? Obviously. And then you fix it. I'd be like, nah, it's a piece of plastic. I've got a factory.
I remember when I was younger, my dad had this beautiful fountain pen. It was the nicest pen in the world. It was all gold and shit like that. And and I was doing, it was my mum's birthday, and I had to do her card. And we were on holiday at the time on a boat. And my dad's pulled this pen out, and he's like, "Here, just be careful with that pen, yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I will." Literally turned around, bloop, straight in the sea. I was like, "Oh, fuck." I must have sat there like huddled over this card for like 5 minutes. It's just like, what do I do? What do I do? He's gonna fucking murder me.
Whereas you could have said something straight away, and there would have been a 5% chance he could have jumped in to get it back.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
No, when you talk about your childhood, it makes you sound like the child of some sort of drug baron from Colombia. It was Mother's birthday, and we're out on the yacht sailing, and I had to write her a birthday card. And Fajar produced this $9,000 pen. It's gold. Yeah, and then silly old me, I dropped it overboard.
that got me a thorough whipping with my dad's rhino horn cane.
Nanny took hours to console me.
Father was so annoyed he went out shooting his gold AK-47 at the peasants.
And he told me later that he lost his croquet game because he couldn't keep his mind on it. Oh, sorry, it would have been water polo, wouldn't it?
Probably, yeah, they're more likely. Yeah, but it just goes to show that all kids are dicks, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was a total dick, but I was the youngest of 900 children. And I recall some of the dickish things. Do you want to hear some of the dickish things I did as a kid? We make this a feature. Okay. So the year was 1989. I would have been 6 years old. And I had recently learnt to spell the word shit. Anyway, Luke, that's my brother, also known as Jono Not Bono, for all you fangirls and boys out there, he encouraged me to write it in 3-foot-high letters in felt tip pen on the fucking wall. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I did it and realised felt tip pen doesn't fucking wash off. So I was there, like, I got the old powdered Ajax, you know, that stuff that used to give people cancer that every mum had underneath the sink. You don't see it so much anymore.
I remember playing with that in school.
Yeah,
like, give you a load to fucking clear out the sink or whatever.
Yeah, we had it in McDonald's to do all of the stainless steel. It was called Ajaxing. I mean, it was pretty fucking easy. But yeah, so I was there with Ajax and scrubbing pads, trying to scrub it off the wall to no avail. And I probably got away with it for about a week, which shows is quite telling in the grand scheme of things with regards to how often my mum went into my bedroom. Yeah, and well, I got in trouble for it.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, I was only 6. I mean, how you know, my little kids have done far worse, and they haven't written shit on the wall that I've seen anyway.
I've got a similar thing when I was younger, except mine was much slower burner, right? My parents went away for a little while and I had the free house, so I did the normal thing of invite all the mates round sort of thing, have a few beers. But I was probably about 16 at this time, 16, 17, I should say.
So there were 2 of you?
So you what?
So there were 2 of you, yeah?
Me and all my mates. Yeah. But someone had the bright idea of saying, like, why don't we graffiti your wall with shaving cream? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? Why not? Just wipe it off afterwards. So I did a big demonic pentagram, like massive, sort of 6x6. It was huge in shaving cream, and I was like, that's pretty epic. Left it up there for the whole time. Day before my parents were coming back, cleaned off fine, not an issue, right? And I was like, mint. I still got a bollocking about the state of the house because there was a few bits and pieces gone missing and broken and stuff like that. But it was probably a year or so later when Mum wanted to get the house decorated that I found out that the paint wouldn't stick over where I'd sprayed this pentagram. So they painted the wall, and there's just this big shape which they could not, for love nor money, paint over because the paint just sort of like just drizzled off it. And that's when the real bollocking came. That was impressive, that bollocking. I still remember it now. I actually ran out of home and hid in a phone box around the corner, and they still found me. They were relentless. It's like, release the hounds.
It's like, I'm in the phone box.
I'm like, hello, Childline. Yeah, you need to listen very carefully to what's about to happen because I think I'm about to get murdered. Yeah, so
that's amazing. You could have played that off though and been like, oh, it's really scary. What is it? Oh my god, there's a pentagram on the wall. What have you been doing? Am I the son of the devil? But no.
No, I grew up on heavy metal bands like Morbid Angel, Deicide, all of that sort of stuff. My mum's been in my bedroom. She knows that that would have been bullshit. There's literally posters of pentagrams, devils, and shit like that everywhere.
Which be like, no wonder I like this shit. There's a pentagram above my bed, Mum.
Just gone all out and pretended to be possessed. Just start throwing up over everything.
Oh, just kidding. Right. Another stupid thing I did. I was a bit of a pyro as a kid. I like fire. I mean, who doesn't like fire? You don't like it?
No. It's one of the few things I'm afraid of. I don't like fire at all. Not a big fan.
You loved it. I thought you liked sitting around a fire pit.
It depends on the fire. I don't mind a bonfire. Like if I know it's fine and I can get away from it, it's fine. But I don't like indoor fire. I don't like fireworks. I don't like sort of the more difficult to control fire, if you know what I mean.
Well, like being on fire. I mean, no one wants their house burning down around them, do they?
No. But I'm that guy in the group of kids when everyone's like, "Oh, let's set it on fire," and I'm like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. It's just a fucking silly idea. Don't do it."
Like, the blood with fire again.
Kind of. I witnessed the neighbour's house burning down when I was younger, and it frightened me a lot.
Holy shit, man! Sorry, I'm just turning my heating off.
That's fine. Got to stay warm.
No, I'm turning it off. Yeah, it's a gas one, and I'm just paranoid about, I don't know, carbon monoxide poisoning or something. I should probably invest in a carbon monoxide alarm.
Almost definitely, I'd say. Very
I'm not really worried because it's quite drafty here, but yeah, I thought I should probably turn it off.
Maybe.
Lightheaded.
But anyway, you were going to tell us about your pyro days.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, aside from the 9 million little fires that I had all over the place, I remember getting a lighter. Again, I was about 6, maybe 7. I got older sisters and they all smoked. So, I mean, finding things like lighters was a piece of piss. I've got a couple of fire stories, actually. Anyway, so I'm about 6 or 7. And you know the old pull cords on bathroom lights?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to see if you could cut through one of them with a lighter. You can. So, kids, you don't need to do that. If you're watching this, which you shouldn't be, because there's that button ticked, don't try and burn through string attached to your light fitting and then tie it up expecting nobody to fucking notice. Because I can almost guarantee that they will. No, I did it quite low to the bottom.
Oh, right.
Being a stupid kid, instead of like craftily threading the spool thing back onto it, then tying a knot, pulling it down, so people would just be like, that's like 4 inches lower than it was. I mean, you could probably get away with that and just say, I don't know what you're talking about. I tied the 2 pieces of string back together so you can see the scorched ends on either side. So it's just a knot and then a thing. But such a douche.
Well done.
Do you want to hear another fire story?
Please. Why not?
Okay. The year is 1995. Mum has just bought the house. A house on the Isle of Wight.
Right.
Yeah, the one in which you visited. And when I was little, me and my brother had a shed each. I mean, the motherfucker, he had the big bedroom and the big shed. I had the small bedroom and the really small shed. Anyway, I found a Bailey's bottle filled with petrol when we moved in there and quickly squirreled it away into my shed. So I had this little Delta Airlines plastic teacup that I'd swiped from the plane from the previous time we'd come back from America. So I used to pour some petrol into that cup and then dip shit in it, pull it out, and just using a broken lighter because it's got sparks, set fire to it and just, like wave it around and then blow it out, put it back in, repeat the process. Kept me busy for fucking hours. Anyway, one of those times, I dipped it back in and it wasn't out. And the cup caught on fire. And I'm like, I think I'm about 13 at this time. And I panicked and I didn't know what to do. And it's a plastic cup. So I knew I only had a little bit of time. So I picked the cup up by its tiny little handle. I'll put my finger up because it's a teacup. And I go to throw it out of the shed. I probably should have walked it out. I mean, it was like 4 steps. I go to throw it out the shed and that didn't work. It sort of melted and poured all over the floor in front of me. I'm at the back of the shed. I've got my chest. Then I've got me. Then I've got a floor of fire, just like a full fire, and the door. So I immediately jump out the fucking shed. And as I'm jumping out of the shed, this is very convenient. I mean, I probably would have worked it out and put it out. I'm not a total cretin. My brother and 2 of his friends were walking down to the bottom of the garden at the same time. And I literally turned and I'm like, I've set fire to my shed. And my brother's, he's always been really kind to me and like a real gentle, kind, loving brother. Pushed me out the fucking way into a bush. He's just like, get out of the way, you fucking dick. Gets the water up from here. I love it. When I think back to it, I'm just like, that's exactly what I would do. It's like, oh, you're such a cock. Yeah, pushes me out of the way. I go flying into a bush. And he gets the water butt from his shed. And like, he's quite strong. I mean, but he would have been 15 or 16 at this point in time. Literally picks his water butt up and just throws it into my shed. And it puts it out. I mean, it was only a small teacup, so it wasn't a lot of petrol. But yeah, that left a massive, great black scald mark on the bottom of this fucking shed, which, Yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
You see petrol as well, like the amount of people I see set themselves on fire with petrol and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a lot of people I see, like I watch a lot of YouTube videos of people trying to light barbecues and shit like this. In fact, one of my old neighbours when I used to live on the mainland, they were.
Sorry, stop. It's the land for everybody else. You call it the mainland, you fucking island tier 1 fucker. But we just live on the land.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, yeah. Anyway, these neighbours, they must have lived next door to us for in the space of 2 years. I think they were there for, and they had the fire brigade out 5 times. I've never known anything like it. They had there was a power cut, and they put candles on the windowsill, which caught the curtains alight. They've had a bonfire way too close to the fence, set the fence alight. There's numerous fuckwittery. Oh, they set fire to a hairdryer.
How?
Fuck knows how. I mean, clearly I don't know how hairdryers work anyway, but I've got no idea how they set fire to it. But yeah, one time they were having a barbecue, and out comes the dad, douses the charcoal in petrol, chucks a match in, voomf. He's in flames, the fence is in flames, the hedges are all in flames, and I was just watching from my bedroom window like, this guy is a massive clusterfuck. Like, I'm about to watch someone die.
I find it really irritating to watch anybody light anything with petrol. I'm just like, what are you fucking... It's not hard to start a fucking fire. I mean, it just takes a little bit. It takes maybe 1 or 2, oh, not episodes, one or 2 trips out with the Cubs, and you learn to light a fucking fire. It's so simple. It's a bit of preparation, 1 match. I don't even use matches anymore. But yeah, it's so fucking easking. And then you see somebody light it and they douse it in petrol and be like, oh, great, now everything's going to taste of fucking petrol. Good job. Fucking... Yeah. I mean, oh, here's an... We're going to cook on something that's really toxic. Yeah, love it. Good job.
Yeah, crack out the red diesel. Let's get the barbie going.
Totally. Oh, well, we're not allowed to use it in our fucking car, so we'll just put it over our food, shall we? Oh,
although, you know, I have done the shopping trolley barbecue before, so, you know, I can't really talk about food hygiene. So, right. But that same time that we did the shopping trolley barbecue, we also had a bonfire going, and we worked out the best way to light it. All right.
Okay. Was it with a crossbow?
No, although, okay, we worked out a good way of lighting it. Clearly not the best, because the best involves a crossbow. But no, for anyone that doesn't, well, probably none of you will know Felix, but my friend Felix.
we talk about Felix almost every week.
Crazy Felix, bless him. We'll have to get him on one day.
Nope, not a chance. Nope, not happening.
Well, anyway, he'd built this fire. He loves a fire. He loves a good burn. He used to do, like, he'd just like text you and say, come around for a burn, and you knew it was on. It was because he had this big bit of land, and you'd go around there and he'd pile this shit up, and he'd do it artistically as well. He'd be like, yeah, I'll put some fir branches in there as well to get a nice crackle when it gets going. And, you know, all of this, you know, I built up that side because the wind's coming from this side. So when that hits, when it starts burning, it should collapse in on itself like that and all this. And he was really, really responsible and clever about how he built his fires. Until I went for this burn, and he's come out with a case of petrol bombs, and he's like, "We've got a new way to to light the fire, right?" And it worked. It worked pretty well.
I feel like I've seen footage of this within the last week on Facebook.
Yeah, you might have done it. It did go on Facebook. Yeah, yeah, and so it was great. You know, light them. A big explosion, and then the fire was contained to this fire pit and all that, and it was great. It was a big fire, to be fair. The problem was when it started burning a bit, and we still had petrol bombs, and some of us had got a little bit tipsy, some of us had a bit drunk and that. And I thought, like, well, I'm gonna launch a petrol bomb in there if no one's got any objection. And everyone's like, yeah, if I could do it. So I've lit this petrol bomb, hoofed it. It's gone in, hit a soft bit of wood on the end, and just bounced straight back out and landed in between my feet. You have never seen anyone move so fast, because I don't know what happens. I've only seen it when they break. I haven't seen what happens if you just like light it and let it burn down until it hits the petrol in the actual glass. So I'm like, this thing could take my fucking knees out in a minute. I'm out. So I moved faster than I've ever moved in my life. Fortunately, Felix saw the whole clusterfuckery unfold, and he just came along and booted it back in the fire.
I would expect less from him.
Yeah, this is why I don't play with fire, because I know that I will end up getting burnt. It's a very true saying, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, you're just a bit of a pussy, aren't you? Do you remember the wasp nest that I put on the fire? I don't think I've ever seen like such fear in anybody's eyes before.
I ain't got a good track record with wasps either, to be honest. No. And so when you combined the two, it just struck me as a bad idea. You know, I don't know what's going to come out of that. Fire wasps? Who needs that?
Oh, now you're talking.
No, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. They don't sting you. They just come along and cough a bit of fire out and then die.
Or just like land on you and slowly like ignite you.
Oh, putting that wasp nest on the fire, that was one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. I hate wasps.
Talking about warm insects, I know the Did You Know was last week, but a fact's just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Do you know how honeybees kill their predators?
Can I take a guess? Now, if by predators you mean other bees that aren't from their colony, do they smother them, raise their core temperature up by 5 degrees, and then they die?
They boil them, basically, yeah.
Yeah, then in which case, yes, I do know how they do that.
Yeah, that is freaky. Could you just imagine that? Death by group hug.
I mean, a few of them die in the process, don't they?
Well, it's not
yeah, because obviously they've got to raise the temperature up so much that it's amazing. Now, I feel like that was with... I saw a documentary on it, and it was like Asian bees do it, and like the hostile ones that come in can decimate an entire place. So, yeah, that's how they've mastered it, by going in.
It's still pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's amazing. How do they work out that that's going to work?
Why do bees have a greater knowledge of thermodynamics than I do? You know, I went to school. Bees didn't. This sucks.
And why does it work with bees but not with penguins? Because penguins look like they're always trying to do that. It's just like
just huddling together, like, ooh, it's cold out here, and suddenly in the middle, it's there goes Kevin.
No, Bob got dead. He got too hot. That's why they shuffle around, isn't it? It's constant outskirts.
Douse themselves in snow every now and then just to cool down.
Yeah, like one of those hot houses. You know, the oh god, what are they called? You know, where you go in, you get really hot, and then you just go run into the sea when it's really, or into the snow. Well, we had to have a little break there because Mushu's being tormented by children knocking on his door and running away. And I can't remember what we were talking about beforehand, so I'm going to change the subject to Mushu. Have you hit your head on something? Go on, Benford.
It's funny you should say that. Yeah, I gave myself a minor concussion earlier this week on a door frame.
On a door frame? You going in a hobbit house or something?
Our office at work is basically a converted barn. It's the upstairs section of a converted barn. So I'm assuming what the door used to be some form of hay hatch or something.
Hay hatch.
I don't know the professional term, but you know, in barns you sometimes see they've got the upper set of doors where they lob shit out of or chuck shit in or something. I don't know, but either way, it's very small. It's about a 5 foot high door. So you've got to duck a bit. No, it's probably about 5'6".
I've been in there. It is low. It's a low door.
Occasionally I forget how low it is, and I was trying to carry a sofa out of this door and I clocked my head so hard. I actually felt thoroughly pissed for the next 4 or 5 hours. I threw up slightly, so I'm aware that I probably gave myself a slight concussion there. But yeah, I'm better now, you'll be glad to know. But I do have this rather nice, if you can see, away from the glare.
I was gonna say, the only reason I noticed is because the glare gets interrupted. I mean, it's all so smooth and shiny, and then there's just this big great line on your head.
Yeah, well, that's why I was thinking about wearing a hat to cover it up, but I was like, no, everyone knows how much of a fucking idiot I am now. There's no point trying to.
You're like, thanks for bringing it up, Sam.
No,
Good
to
job.
be honest, I was going to bring it up anyway, but then I thought
Oh,
people don't want to hear about my ailments and my various fucking issues. That's not what I think here.
no, well, it's not. How are you getting on with Ready Player One? Have you finished it yet?
No.
Where are you up to?
Right. This is going to be difficult to talk about without any spoilers. So should I do a quick spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert.
Okay, spoiler alert for the next 5 minutes or so. Don't just tune out. Yeah, I'm up to the bit. He's just escaped from IOI detention centres.
Yeah, it's a good bit, isn't it?
Met up with H and all of that. And I have to say, it is so much better than how they did it in the film.
Isn't it just? It's so much better.
With him being the one that went in there, he puts himself in voluntarily, like he creates himself the debt and everything. So they come and pick him up under a false name. The whole thing is just genius. I mean, it was risky as fuck, but yeah, I think as a whole, the book itself, I think I would have liked if they were doing films to make it into 3 separate films, sort of do a Lord of the Rings job and get more detail in there. Each of the keys can be one film, if you know what I mean. You got 3 keys, 3 doors. Do them all as a separate film because there's plenty of content in there. For anyone that's not familiar with the book but has seen the film, it's not too much of a spoiler to say that the challenges are different. They're all completely different.
Yeah.
And they've had to do that. You know they've had to do that because trying to fit them all into a film would have been impossible.
Yeah, like the Pac-Man bit. Do you see what I mean about the Pac-Man bit? It was really compelling reading.
Yeah.
Some guy playing Pac-Man for 6 hours would make a terrible bit of a movie.
It really would. Yeah, if ever there was a scene meant for a montage, it's that.
Yeah, totally. Like in the movie Hackers, you know, when they're all hacking and it just plays some like cool techno music and it scrolls around and like the camera goes around and around. Like, yeah, that's how I envisaged it when I was reading it. I wasn't looking through his eyes. I was literally panning around him in this arcade and everybody's moving around him really, really quickly while he's in the zone, focused on it.
Yeah. You can see the sun through the window sort of like moving
across.
Yeah, that sort of shit. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. You know, I think it's a credit to his writing ability that he made a game of Pac-Man tense. you know, because it was quite tense towards the end. Like, you know, you've got to have a perfect game of Pac-Man. I mean, fuck that for a start. I wouldn't have what it takes to be a gunter.
No, I wouldn't either. And the thing is, after watching it and reading it, every single time I'm always like, oh, I'm going to go hunt me out some Easter eggs. And the only games that I've really got that have got good Easter eggs are Call of Duty Zombies. And after about an hour of playing, I'm just like, nah, I'm shit at this. I'm just so shit at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could bumble my way through a game, but as for unlocking proper in-depth Easter eggs, I'm garbage. Absolute garbage. So yeah, I couldn't be one, but man, some of the stuff it's so good. The Black Dragon sequence, I vaguely remember. I want to say I remember the game. I can't guarantee it's the game. I remember a game similar from the description of it. You're a ninja and you've got 3 knives that you can throw out and you've got like a whippy ball chain thing. I vaguely recall playing that as a youth. But being able to get into it as first person, wow, that would be so much fun. It just sounds so good.
Go on then, classic video game. If you could put yourself into a classic video game.
I know already. Contra.
Yeah?
Contra, for sure, man. I loved that. I assume you're talking like 1990s and below. So like side scrollers, nothing too... I mean, if you're going to start jumping into like when it went to 64-bit, like the N64 and stuff, I mean, I would change.
No, we'll stick to the proper old school.
Good old 8-bit games, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, in that case, Contra. Yeah, it's not got a Q in it, is it? It's not Contra. No, that's booze. Contra. Yeah, Contra. I loved that game because that was, for me, I want to say that was my first experience of first person, because every 2 levels, I think, it changed into the first person version of it, where it was a bit like a maze. So, I mean, those were the worst levels of all of them. I quite like a side scroller. But yeah, that's one of my first experiences of it. Would you like to know my other experience of first person?
Please do.
The Jurassic Park game on the Super Nintendo. When you went inside a building, it changed to first person.
That's right. It was top down, wasn't it? It was top down for the majority of it, and then you go into the buildings and it goes first person. And yeah, that was tense. That was scary.
Yeah. And consequently, because I was so young when I was playing that game, if I had to go inside, it basically meant I never completed it, because going inside was just so difficult for me. Because first person controls, before the dual thumbsticks came out, which I've always said Halo coined the first player controls, but I don't actually think that's accurate. I think that was the biggest selling game that used the 2 thumbstick controls on the original Xbox, and it made it that everybody learned. Everybody who hadn't used first person controls, who played Halo, learned how to use what is now the standard first person controls, the dual thumbsticks. You know, your look and your strafe buttons. But before that, you know, like it was awkward. Like GoldenEye on the N64 with the weirdest controller in the history of humanity.
Yeah,
it was comfortable, but it was a weird controller.
Didn't it look like a spaceship or something like that?
Yeah, it had three arms on it, and the middle, and you always seem to. So you had an arm here, and you had the big one in the middle with a thumbstick, and then the other, and you always seem to just hold it on this side. I don't think I ever had a game where you held the outside too. No. You always need thumbsticks. So it was a weird design, but yeah, even when it was first-person games with that, it was, and you'd use the strafe buttons up in the top. Yeah, it was just a weird one. Great console. Loved the N64.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's some quality games. That's when consoles really started coming into their own, wasn't it? I mean, obviously you had the Nintendo with Duck Hunt and all that shit. That was the Mega Drive, the Master System. They were the first ones. But when I think GoldenEye has got a lot to answer for in terms of, because that game just went down so colossally well. I think everyone else stopped and looked and thought, you know, they're doing something right. We need to sort of cotton onto this and work out what they're doing right. Yeah, and I think they changed the whole way that games are controlled and everything like that.
Yeah, it was so great, GoldenEye. Absolutely loved that game. There were so many amazing things about that game. It was the first game I can remember that when you completed it, it unlocked cheat modes. Yeah, you didn't have to put codes in. You just had to be good at the fucking game. And like the time trials for the levels, it was just quality. And actually,
did you know that Odd Job? Everyone loved Odd Job. Everyone loved a bit of Odd Job, didn't they? Yeah. But the reason he was such a sought after character was down to a coding error.
Because he was this big.
Well, no. When they coded him, or when they were doing the coding and that, they made a mistake and made him harder to hit. His hit detection is slightly off.
Because we all had no blowjob. You were never allowed to play as him because it's cheating. Or the only time you could do it is if you were playing multiplayer. Within reason. I mean, you could only play 4 players. If it was 3v1, the only way you could play is Odd Job then. But you weren't allowed to play as him.
But I mean, you got to bear in mind that back then, internet gaming was not a thing. There was no such thing. Your console to an internet. So if they notice a coding error after the game's released, that's it. There's no updates. There's no patches. It's like, fuck. We'll just have to pretend that, you know, it was meant to be like that. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I vaguely recall like a reference to GoldenEye in the Ready Player One book, or maybe Ready Player Two. And considering I've read it so many times, I feel like I'm going down a tangent that I'm going to be proved wrong on. But I was mentioned anywhere near enough. I don't think it was given any kind of credit, because they mentioned the N64 briefly. You probably aren't at that point yet. And I'm sure they vaguely mentioned the fact that they were maybe sitting around playing GoldenEye. But GoldenEye on the N64 was just a legendary game. I don't recall anybody who had that console because it was groundbreaking, wasn't it? You had the PlayStation 1, and that was good, 32-bit. And then, do you know, they had a toss-up between it being called the N64 and the Ultra 64. Right. We got our N64, but I was calling it the Ultra 64 because I thought it was a cooler name. But yeah, that game, anybody who had that console, which all of these characters in this book would have had that console, loved GoldenEye. I don't know a single person who played it, and the Zelda game, was it the Ocarina of Time?
The Ocarina of Time, yeah.
Yeah. I read an article a few years back, actually. They gave some modern day pro gamers, so, 21-year-old YouTubers, that game to play because they hadn't played it, because they're not the generation with the N64. And even they were like, this is one of the best games I've ever played.
I was going to say, I never played it. I never owned an N64, right? An
emulator? Can you get an emulator for it?
Well, this is what I was going to say. I never played it. So just recently, and I'm talking like last year, maybe the year before, I got the N64 emulator for my PC with like millions of ROMs, like pretty much all of them. And yeah, I thought I'd give that Zelda Ocarina of Time a go, and I was blown away with how engaging it was. I mean, I'm talking. I own a PlayStation 4, which I normally game on. I've got a very high spec gaming PC, which I also game on, and this is like up there with the favorite, most time consuming games that I've sort of sunk my time into. It's just, for something that old to still be that relevant is fucking incredible. I mean, what a job they've done.
That's Nintendo, though, isn't it? Nintendo have consistently, throughout their entire history, just bought out amazingly entertaining games. I mean, the SNES games, Mario, fuck's sake, that was such a quality game. Or I say game, there were fucking loads of them. Yeah. And they were one of the only games developers who didn't bring out any phone-based games until very, very recently. That I'm sure they literally just bought one out recently. And their consoles, I always refer to them as kids' consoles because, I mean, the graphics were always really friendly. And like, I didn't have a GameCube because at that point in time I wanted House of the Dead with extra blood effects and stuff like that. I didn't want cartoon little pixel games, cartoony little ones. I wanted a bit more realism in my life. Yeah. In my gaming life, that I should say. So yeah, though I've gone away from Nintendo over the years, I still appreciate that they make some of the best games ever. They're just brilliant.
You know my theory as to why?
No, I don't.
You look at Amstrad.
Yes.
For instance, Amstrad they're a computer company, yeah, which started video games. You've got Commodore, a company that started making games. Spectrum, a computer company that started making games. Nintendo are a games company. They started off as a card game, making card games and stuff like that. And I think this is why it is. Their focus is on, we want people to have fun. Let's find the technology to make it happen. Whereas other people are like, we've got this technology, let's do something with it.
Let's make money.
Yeah, the focus isn't on let's make a fun, enjoyable experience and shit like that. And I mean, to be fair, look at Nintendo's business model. They may be struggling in the current console market, but you're right. The games they do come out with are generally fucking good fun.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. My kids shouldn't be watching this, but I've got them the what's it called? What's the new Nintendo console? The Switch. Got the Switch for Christmas because they're both massively into gaming, and they've got my Xbox at the moment. So they only really play Minecraft on it. Oh, I say that, but Freddie loves playing State of Decay and what's the other one? World War Z. The most inappropriate games for a 6-year-old, but he loves them. It's like, and he's fucking good at them as well. He runs around.
That's
he's
the most annoying thing, isn't it?
I got round there after work one day, and so you get with World War Z, you get money for completing levels, and you use that money to upgrade your guns and stuff. And I was getting it and spending it straight away, so there wasn't really any built up. And he's only 6, so he can't read very well. He can read, but he can't read very well. And I got round there, and he was like, "Are you proud of me?" And I was like, "Why? What have you done?" And he's like, "Oh, I completed these levels," and he showed me. Little bastard, gone through every fucking level. He's like completing them all. He's got about 6 grand sat there. I was just like, let's do some leveling up then, shall we, Freddie? It's just like, you've maxed out that character and got the best guns available. Should we maybe get a different gun? Yeah, unbelievable. He's like, can you put the petrol bombs on? I want the petrol bombs. I don't like these grenades. I want the petrol bombs. It's like, yeah, sure. Have at it. It's just brilliant.
Got to have your very own little XP farmer.
Yeah, he's well good. But I think they're going to love having the Switch. I
mean, the Switch is a great console. I mean,
it's Nintendo, perfect console for kids. You know full well that none of the games are going to be offensive. They're not going to be anything that's going to upset anybody. You basically don't have to worry. I mean, I hate pay to play. I hate that aspect of gaming. I don't like it on phones.
Yeah,
I despise it on like Call of Duty and shit like that. And I know they have to make money. And usually you're only really paying for bullshit aesthetic stuff that nobody really gives a fuck about. I mean, some people give a fuck about. I mean, have you ever bought an outfit for your Call of Duty characters?
What, are you asking me?
I am.
I'd be lying if I said no. I have done. Yeah,
mug.
You've never spent money in game.
Not my money, no. I've bought. I bought DLC. I mean, I've no problem buying DLC, but I don't think that's the same thing. I think it's a bit bullshit when you pay 50 quid for a game and they only release half the bloody game, and then you've got to buy more after. But I've always relented to it, and I tend to just buy the season pass when it starts, and it's a bit cheaper later on. Sorry, I used to. I don't really play zombies anymore, so I might for the new game when it comes out. Well, which came out a month ago.
yeah. It's been out for ages.
First Call of Duty in probably 10 years that I haven't bought on release date.
Yeah. Now,
being as I haven't played computer games for how many episodes are we on?
5, something like that.
For about 25 weeks, I didn't really feel the fucking need to, Mushu.
Oh, mate, don't, because I'm properly triggered by Modern Warfare at the moment. Triggered. It really, really aggravates me.
Is this the new one, or no? Because the new one's Black Ops, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, because I've not bothered with the new one because Modern Warfare put me off with their.
What?
It's very, very obvious that they're not in it for the game. They don't give a shit about the gamer experience. What they give a shit about is money. They release a new one every year, and yet there's still a shit ton of downloadable content being released for all of them. It's like, no, either release one game and then do loads of downloadable content that people can pick up across the years, or just fucking do the games and no downloadable content. You're releasing them every year anyway. Why is the point of having a season pass with seasons that, a month or two, and then you've got to buy another season pass for the next season and shit like this? And the weapons, this is what put me off the Call of Duty games forever now. I don't think I'll ever go back to them. Is your pro streamers will suddenly be like, oh, this Growl, for instance, the Growl.
Yeah, Growl.
Oh, it's the best gun ever. And they'll go around, they'll shoot everyone with it, and it's amazing. And so all the little kids out there are like, oh, look at that. He's going out, he's getting millions of kills with this Growl. I want a Growl. And they offer an attack, like a buy, like all the store will be full of like Growl like kits and shit like this, different aesthetics for it, because they know that everyone's after the Growl. And as soon as the sales start slowing down on these DLC, they'll nerf the weapon so it's shit, and they'll make something else better, and then that's all you'll see in the stores. And it's
really annoys that.
Yeah, and it's really manipulative sales pitch. It's aggressive selling, and I fucking hate that. And as soon as someone starts telling me that, oh, you got to be wearing you got to be, you know, spending money on this because this is the best gun ever. Sorry, fuck your game. I'm going to go and play something else. You know.
Yeah. It really does bug me, but that's the whole pay to play thing. It's the like what I started saying. It's the thing I hate the fucking most about gaming. It's like, you know, and if it's like on the old phone games. Did you ever play like Clash of Clans or any of them type games? We build a base, attack a base, build a base, attack a base, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, I played Clash of Clans for fucking years, and again, one of them games I never put a penny into. So you had to get, if you got gems, you could buy like more builders, and builders is what you need because you've got to have them timed. I never bought a single gem, but I've got thousands of them because I just saved them all up. I was just like, man, I'm just never going to use them. If I have to wait 8 hours, I'll just wait 8 hours and then I'll come back to the game after. I'll do something else in the meantime. And yeah, it really, really frustrates me that people can get ahead of the game. There was a phrase, I think normalizing phrases like, it was cash rich and time poor. So if you're cash rich and time poor, you can literally buy yourself up another level or two. Now, for me, I am cash poor and time poor, so I'm just fucked. Which is just annoying, and it kind of like for me, it kills the spirit of gaming when someone who's just got a big bank balance can all of a sudden catch you straight up because they've just been willing to put 50 quid into a game, whereas you've 50 hours.
When I used to be, when I like the first Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4, when that came out, that was probably the first game where, you know, I met my first clan, my first PlayStation clan and all of that. And back then, you see someone running around with a golden gun and you're like, fuck, look how much effort that guy's put into it. He's literally gone out and headshotted everyone at like 250 times, whatever it is, in order to earn that with every assault rifle to get the gold on them. That's so impressive. Now I just see a colourful gun. I'm like, look at that dickhead. He's been out spending on the old PlayStation Store, hasn't he?
I completely agree.
There's no trophy in it.
No, there isn't. You're right. It's because it's just made it shitter. Because like if I unlocked a gold gun, which I must say I didn't often do because it was really hard to get all your guns. For me, I always really struggled to get all of the guns up to that level. So yeah, you're absolutely right. If you see someone with it, it was like, oh fuck, I'm in for it here. Oh no, I feel like I'll be dying a bit. I'm up against a man that's clearly never known the touch of a lady. Yeah, definitely. Well, you think that, I think, get my noob tube out.
The good old noob tubes. Yeah, I don't miss them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like everything. Commercialization is just killing it. It's killing it. And just recently, I've been playing the Assassin's Creed games, and it's funny you should mention it, Easter eggs, because I've been finding quite a few of them.
Nice.
And that, for me, is more about the essence of gaming. It's the sense of discovery and the sense of achievement that you actually. Because I know all you're doing is sitting there in front of a sofa watching the TV, or probably sitting there on the sofa actually in front of the TV. That would probably be the more sensible way to do it.
Have we? Look, we've done so many of these now that I don't even have to take the piss out of you when you fuck up like that. That's exactly what I was going to say. What do you sit in front of it like a toddler?
I do have action pose when I have to get right on the edge of the seat. If I'm losing, because the closer towards the edge of the seat I am, the better I play, obviously.
Yeah, I find I play better when I need a piss.
Oh, really? I just always need a piss, normally. As soon as I fire up an online game that I know I can't back out of, I'll need a piss. This is why I don't play games like
Elder Scrolls Online?
That sort of thing. Formula 1. Anything which involves you actually having to dedicate a slot of time to the game, can't do it. I can get away with like 5-minute death matches here and there because I'm pretty sure my bladder can hold out for 5 minutes and then I can run through. But some of them are just a nightmare, aren't they? Some of these games.
Yeah, that's why you get those dirty YouTube streamers who like piss in bottles and stuff. I'm just like, if it gets to a point where I have to take a piss into a bottle, I'm turning the console off.
Right, you've just reminded me of something that I put down on my list, which I wanted to talk about. Do you mind if I change the subject briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel we were getting a bit hung up on our games there.
I saw a video on Facebook today of a guy who weighed he was just shy of half a ton, right? Like 400.
I love those. Go on.
And he is lying on his front, and they couldn't roll him onto his back because as soon as he moved onto his back, he couldn't breathe because the weight of him would just crush him. Right?
Mad.
How? This is all I want to know. How do people get to that size without someone stepping in? Because someone had to have helped him. If he can't move on his own, he's just lying down like a massive starfishy blob with a head sticking out of it. You know, someone's got to be coming around this. Someone's got to be helping feed him, wash him, like do jobs for him. Why has no one said, like, look, this is taking the piss. You're a whale. You need to fucking lose weight. Why does it get to the point where they have to take half of his house off, remove him to hospital, and then say, you got to go on a diet, otherwise you're going to die? No. Look, your average human isn't supposed to be the same size and weight as a car. You know? It's like, how does it get to this stage? And then everyone's like, oh my God, this is so shocking. Well, it probably wasn't shocking when it started being noticeable, is it? You know?
I'm totally with you. I just want to know where they get the food from. Because surely even the calories expended in moving a ton of weight around just to get to the door and then to get cutlery is...
Yeah, he couldn't move. He couldn't move. They had to take the side of his house off to get him out. So he's never been out of the house while he was outside. You know what I mean? It's
sad. They're always like, oh, it's a disease. It's a disease. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can understand. You know, people get addictions. That is 100% a thing. But when you can't get to the toilet, you can't get in the shower, you can't get out of your front door. I mean, it's time to call it a day, isn't it? And their heads always look so small. It's like they're a little bit like this is their body, and you just got to.
It really is. But I'm not even blaming him. Like you say, there could be a million reasons why he's that size, and obviously it's not a normal thing to do to get to that size. There's clearly something's gone wrong in his life. I apportion the blame to everyone in his life. You know, someone's helping him out. He's definitely got a carer, and these people have let him just carry on rather than interject and say, like, you know what? Why don't we? This is getting out of hand. Why don't we tackle it now? And you might live a little bit longer.
Hands in my mouth. What's this? Yeah. Oh, it's so bad. I was watching one on Channel 4 the other day. I think it was called The Secret Life of Shut-ins or something along those lines. And yeah, Freddie picked it. He's like, oh, let's have the one with the fat people. I was like, okay. And we put it in. And I quite like watching shows like that for the same reason. And there was this couple, and this woman, she was a big girl. I mean, like a real big girl. And her husband-ish, maybe boyfriend, I don't know. He was a big man, but he was a little bit smaller. She got a gastric band fitted, and he didn't. So she's on tiny little portions and has shed a load of weight. Still a big girl, but shed a shitload of weight, whereas he didn't have that put on. Now, they showed the meeting, and it looked like he ordered... he ordered a Chinese, and it must be said, a damn fine-looking Chinese for 6 people. And she's there with her tiny little portions, you know, 1 tiny little spring roll, 4 noodles, 6 grains of rice, and a piece of beef. And he literally put everything else onto his plate, and it looked amazing. I could destroy that plate of food now. But I'm thinking... So he's gained an extra 7 or 8 stone for the 7 or 8 stone that she's lost, because he's now eating all her food and she's not eating anything. And she's like, oh, he's got really depressed lately. And it's like, no fucking surprise. The poor guy can't get out of the bloody house anymore. It's like he used to get his exercise taking the bins out, but now she's lost all the weight and is looking fabulous. He don't do nothing. He just stays inside playing World of Warcraft. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, what do you expect? Like, miracles don't exist.
Yeah. So pissing in a bottle reminded you of the 1 stone people.
Yeah.
How many of those have you watched?
I try not to watch medically type things because
that's the only kind of medically type thing I watch, man. I
Yeah.
watch one with kids, that like these real young kids. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to talk about this because now I'm thinking about it. Okay, I can only remember two of the people involved because some of them were just big, and they were all obviously all Americans. And there was this one young lad who was colossal, and there was this one young lady who was also pretty fucking big, and both of them had gastric bands put in, and they both had to spend loads of time in fucking hospital. And the young lady, she spent most of her time on her laptop chatting to boys in forums, just normal girl shit. I say forums, I mean chat rooms. This was before everybody had smartphones. And this lad, he always had his Xbox 360, and you saw him in his hospital bed playing it. And the doctor came around and they're like, "Have you done your exercise?" He's like, "Oh no, not yet." And he's like, "Right, you need to lose the Xbox. You got to be doing some exercises. If you genuinely want this gastric band, you got to fucking show that you want it." Anyway, he has a massive, great tantrum, and the mum's there, and she's like, "Oh, just let him have it for 15 more minutes." Blah 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 blah. And he's eating his vegetables, and he's not playing his Xbox, and he's doing his workout, and he's like this. He's got like something this heavy, and he's just like in bed. I'm like, "Is that it? Is that all you're doing?" Anyway,
I could do that.
He's like, "Oh, I'd really love some sausage," and the doctor's like, "No. Not a chance." It's like, you're here because you weigh 3/4 of a ton, mate, and you're only 17 years old. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. It was an Indian doctor, but I can't do that accent, so you have to just deal with what I've got. He's like, "No," and the mum's like, "Don't worry, baby. I'll get you some sausage when we get you home." It's like, so your mum's made you. She's literally feeding you all this shit. But what the reason I remember it, I shouldn't laugh because it's fucking awful. He loses. I feel so bad, but I feel so bad, but I'm fat, so I'm allowed to laugh at fat people. Anyway, she gets him into the van and takes him home a couple of months later, and he's lost a little bit of weight. Still got to use a reinforced Zimmer frame to walk along because his knees might break or the floor will give way or something like that. And he goes to get out the van. The mum's there and she gets his Zimmer frame thing out. And bear in mind, he's only like 17, 18 years old. And he gets out and he stumbles a little bit, catches himself on this Zimmer frame thing. And he just looks up at his mum and he's just like, "I just shit myself." And they caught it on camera. I was just like, that's so mean. Why did you put it in the fucking show? Because now kids like me who have seen this, who can't remember anything about this guy losing loads of weight, just remember him saying to his mum, he's like, "Oh, mum, I shat myself." Oh, fucking hell. It was ridiculous.
The program that he was hoping that would make him be known as the lad with a remarkable transformation just literally turned him into the lad.
The lad who shat himself on TV. Oh, poor fucking thing. But yeah, sorry, I said I can only remember two people from that. And the boy, unfortunately, I feel so bad for laughing, but it was funny. It really, it just made me laugh. I mean, it's poo jokes, isn't it? Whenever anybody shits themselves that isn't a child, I laugh. It's just funny because it's horrible. We've all probably been there at some point in our lives, and as undignified and disgusting as it is. Sorry, mate.
It's like drawings of dicks, always funny.
Yeah, shit. So is shitting yourself. Anyway, so that's funny. But the girl, this was what I've. Oh, it was, for me, I found it really sad. She was from a massive family. She was a chungus. There's no other way to describe it. She was a big chungus. She had her stomach stapled, and for the first few months after getting your stomach stapled, you've got to have your food blended because you haven't got the stomach capacity to digest food, so you need it a little bit broken down for you. And you've got to eat like 6 meals instead of 3 meals because you're only really able to manage a few bites at a time. Some people shouldn't be allowed to have children. This mum has got this daughter who now can't fucking eat anything. She's got all her kids around the table, and the motherfucker gets KFC for everybody, and you've got this poor fat girl who clearly loves her food. She's there, she can't eat anything fucking solid, and they're all tucking into the 96 pieces of chicken that she's ordered, and the mashed potatoes and gravy and all those other things Americans love with their chicken. And the mum's like, oh, don't worry, honey, I'll get you all sorted. And she picks up a piece of janky old chicken, strips the chicken off of it, gets a scoop of mashed potato, blob of gravy, puts it all in the blender without the skin, because that's the best bit of KFC, as we all know, blends it all up into this greasy chicken, potatoey, gravy shit, puts it in a bowl and just sort of chucks it in front of her, and then expects the poor girl to eat around a table where everybody's eating KFC. And it was just one of the saddest things I've ever seen. I was like, she clearly loves a bit of food. She needs nutrients because she's not able to eat more than like 5 or 6 mouthfuls, and you've given her blended KFC. It's just like, oh, you horrible fucker. That was just like it felt so mean. And then it cuts to the guy shitting himself. So it was just a fucking roller coaster, mate. It's an emotional roller coaster. I don't know if
like it. I think why is it though? Fat kids, right? Fat kids, it makes you feel uncomfortable looking at fat kids unless they're Oriental. For some reason, they suit it. For like you, I don't know why, but you get those big chubby Chinese kids and that with the big rolls and all of that, and they just look all right. They look all right.
They look at them and think, "Oh, you're going to be an athlete. You're going to be a prize star fighter in your day, aren't you?"
You know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's where, like, because like certainly with the sumos and stuff like that, they're fucking. There is no other word to describe them than athlete, is there? I mean, they're monsters.
They are.
Calories they put away, and they look like sort of a bit of a chungus, but fuck me, would they destroy anyone? I reckon.
Yeah. I'm going to have to bring this up with this guy I work with. Obviously, I'm still on the naughty step at work, so I'm not on my normal duty. And I'm in a different area where there's people normally on my own, which is fine. I just crack on with it. People walk past me and have a little chat. But now I'm surrounded by people, not in a socially distanced way. All you COVID fans out there, don't worry. We're not touching each other. We've got 2 meters around us. Anyway, there's people around us, and he's a really old friend. It's funny. I worked with him in my first job, and now I work with him in this job, and it's just a regular joke. It's like, where are we going to after this then, Carl? Carl's the one who got fingered. I was talking about the sports, and he got fingered, and he's like, it's fine, it's normal, he loves it. He says, because obviously I'm a massive sports fan, and I like to join in the conversations. I'm like, yeah, go sports at a regular basis. And he's like, do you actually like any? I was like, yeah, there's loads of sports I like. I like darts and bowling and archery, swimming. And he's like, none of them are sports. It's not a sport unless you have to change your shoes. And I was like, I love you. No, bowling, you have to change your fucking shoes, dickhead. So it's got specific shoes. But yeah, so he says darts isn't a sport, and archery is not a sport. But I want to know his feelings on sumo wrestling, whether that's a sport, because you've got a no-shoe situation there, haven't you?
You have indeed, yeah. Yeah,
it's just a case of removing them.
Very much just a nappy situation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be asking him that tomorrow at work. Actually, he's a really funny character. Like I know him and his missus. I've known him for donkey's years. We all worked together at McDonald's like 20 years ago. And during the space of 1 year, so here's my theory. My theory is that his missus got bored of him. Okay,
right.
Bear that in mind with what I say next. Over the space of 1 year, he went from having no tattoos to having 2 full sleeves and leg tattoos. He went from clean shaven to having a magnificent beard. I mean, like, genuinely a beautiful beard. He looks like a completely different person. Right now, what you're looking at, you're not looking at it, Mushu, but everybody else will be when I edit this, is a picture of him before. And now is a picture of him after. So I reckon that she's got bored of him, sick and tired of him, and wanted a different boyfriend. But instead, she just upgraded hers. Just actively, she's like, "Oh, why don't you stop shaving for a little bit? And have you ever thought about getting some tattoos? And he just goes out, and because he looks like a totally different person. He shaved his whole beard off a couple of years ago, and even I was like, never do this again. I was like, I never realised it until you shaved it off. But you've got like no chin. It's like you've got like a really weak chin. You want that bad boy like covered up. Yeah, I reckon he got upgraded by his missus, and for the better. That lady knows best, clearly. But yeah, I'll flash some pictures up of before and after, and by all means in the comments, write which one do you prefer: smooth, angelic, or rugged, bitter, rough.
I think we all know the answer already.
Yeah, but you've got a full sleeve. You got a full sleeve and a beard. Were you actively encouraged by a lady to do that? Were they like, Mushu, grow a face, shave your head because you're balding, you look like Friar Tuck, get it off, grow something on your chin, and get some tattoos, will you?
No, mine were my own choice. My sleeve actually started off as a cover-up because right up the top here, if you see the samurai face there, underneath the part of that helmet, when I was younger, I designed my own tribal tattoo.
Oh, what tribe do you belong to, Mushu?
Huh? What was that?
What tribe do you belong to?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Are you a Navajo Indian?
No, it was like a tribal sort of demon face thing, and I did it myself, and then I took it to this tattoo artist that had just literally opened up in Petersfield, and I thought, I've got my own design, and rather
or anything. I presume he didn't have a portfolio or anything for you to see if he was any good.
No, of course not. No, yeah, and rather than look at this design and say, look, this is asymmetrical, and it's not very good. He was like, yeah, and he did it for me.
Do you have a photo of that?
I don't think I do anymore.
Oh, that's a shame. That'd
be
nice.
All the days of Facebook and everything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it came out, and the ink he used was sub quality, and so it was all patchy as well. And I've hated it for ages, and so I went into a reputable tattooist in Newport, Ravenskin. I'm going to plug them. Go Ravenskin. They've got 3 stores across the island. Family-run tattooists. They're all brilliant.
Have they got one in Cowes as well?
Yeah.
I've heard of them. Yeah, I know the name. I might even follow them on Instagram, actually.
Yeah, well, they're very good. They're all very accomplished tattooists, and they've got a decent portfolio. And I went into them and I said, "Can you do anything for a cover-up?" And he was like, "What sort of thing you're after?" And I said, and anyway, we went for the samurai theme, and I got the samurai mask. And like anyone that's got a tattoo, have you got tattoos? You have, haven't you?
I have three tattoos, and 2 of which is shit, and the other one is a Harry Potter one. So I mean, is that a surprise? It's not, is it? But do you know? Sorry to interrupt your story. But do you know what's annoying about my Harry Potter tattoo? Right, so I wear short sleeve shirts in the summer for work, and they come up to about here. Now, when I got the tattoo done, I like all of my tattoos to be covered at all times. So I've got wanky flames on my ankle. At the time, I only ever wore trousers. I wanted to know what a tattoo felt like, and that was stupid 20-year-old me. It was like, oh yeah, I got flames around my ankles. It looks like fucking seaweed, mate. It's garbage. I thought about turning it into a fucking aquatic scene on my leg because it really wouldn't be difficult to do. Yeah, so I've got that on my ankle. It's bullshit. I've got another one up in here, which is just a souvenir with Thai writing, which doesn't say what it means. And then I've got this Harry Potter one. Now, I've got the line, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. I'm not going to explain it to you, but for Harry Potter fans, I know, right? It's pretty cool. But the last word is death. And I wanted it where my shirt ends. I wanted it to be just a little bit higher. It's not. It's just a little bit lower. So now, when I'm walking around, the only tattoo you can see aside from my fucking kelp on my ankle is the word death. Just here. It's just the word death.
So you just look like a general psychopath.
The number of people who have gone like, why have you got the word death on your arm? I'm like, it's just part of another tattoo. And they're like, can we see it? I was like, no. It's mine, not yours. But I keep meaning, I want to get a whole sleeve done.
I was just going to say, like, I think everyone that's had tattoos done will attest to how ridiculously addictive they are.
Yeah, they're very expensive though.
They are, but I mean, this sleeve is probably a good, best part of a good 3 or 4 days just sitting down, just like doing it leisurely. For me, there's something very therapeutic about going under the needle there. Like, the first half an hour or so, you're like, fuck off, leave me alone. I don't like it. Piss off, fuck off. But then after that, it just starts numbing out, and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of therapeutic. He's got. It has to be said, Jake has got some banging taste in music as well in his shop, which always helps. There's always decent tunes on. Yeah, and he's a nice bloke, and it's just like going for a chat with a mate, really. And then and he's very good. Like I won't go into too much detail on it, but the majority of that was done freehand by him, because I didn't really have a design. I was just like, I just want a kind of orientally themed thing.
Nice.
And he did most of it freehand. He's like, do you mind if I do it freehand? And I'm like, well, don't make it shit. He's like, I'll try not to. I'm like, what could go wrong?
Well, I used this guy called Eddie Bamboo. I want to say Cotterell. I might have fucked that up, but Eddie Bamboo is what his Facebook page is under. And he does a lot of portraits, and he's really fucking good. But it's ridiculous. The only reason I went to him is, again, after Carl got his upgrade, because I love it when people get new tattoos, because I like what tattoos look like. It's just, they're good to look at. And he had this brickwork done on his arm as part of his sleeve, and I literally was just like, dude, that brickwork is fucking awesome. I mean, it's genuinely really impressive. Who did that? And he's like, oh, this guy Eddie Bamboo. So I messaged him on Facebook because I knew I was going to get one. I was saving my Christmas tips up for it one year, and I messaged him and I was like, hello, interested in getting a tattoo. Before we go into it, I just got to ask, are you a Harry Potter fan? And he messaged me back like almost straight away. He's like, no, I'm not, but why does it matter? And I was like, because I want a really like quite a big Harry Potter related tattoo done, and I want it to be good, and I don't think someone who's not a fan is going to do quite the level of a job that I want done. And he's like, oh, don't worry about that. I definitely want to do this. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, have you got anything in mind? And I was like, well, I do, but let us know what you think. And he sent me back some ideas, and he had like a picture of like Ron, Hermione, and Harry's faces. And I just emailed him straight back, and I was like, okay, right, that looks pretty cool. I was like, but
no,
under no circumstances do I want that boy wizard on my body. It's like there is nothing.
You said this to me before. I think generally, as a rule, don't get children tattooed on your body.
Yeah, not fucking happening. But yeah, so in the end, I came up with a design and said where I wanted the words, and it's a Deathly Hallows tattoo for people out there who know about Harry Potter. Yeah, I sent him the bits and bobs that I wanted, not in any specific order. And yeah, he did what he did, and yeah, I love it. It's all in black and white, which, as I'm colorblind, is perfect. And yeah, so yeah. I've got one bit of red on me. Everything else is black or white. No other colour at all. But yeah,
I started out always thinking that I was only ever going to get tribals, because that's all I was interested in was tribals. And I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so happy I didn't.
Oh God.
I like a bit of colour. I mean, obviously that's a tribal, but it has got a bit of colour in it, if you know what I mean.
Well, this is what's funny about him, because when he was doing it, when he finished, it was like 6 hours. I was in the chair. He's like, oh, I really enjoyed doing that. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, because I just do pocket watches and compasses all the fucking time. Now, he is caked in tattoos. I mean, I don't trust a tattoo artist who doesn't have tattoos, for obvious reasons. But he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, shit, is there anything you won't do? It's like, do you ever turn people away because they want a shit tattoo? And he's like, yeah, all the fucking time. He's like, and I won't do tribal. And I just turned and looked at him, and he's like one of these guys who doesn't matter what the weather is, he's in like a string vest, but like baggy casual trousers and flip flops. And yeah, I looked at him and he's like, I am very aware that one of my arms is covered in tribal, and it is whole arm is covered in, and he's like, and that is part of the reason I won't do fucking tribal. I was like, it really made me chuckle. But I will definitely be going back to him again. But I mean, you're looking at like 300 quid for a day's session, aren't you? And I mean, it's worth it in the long run if you look at like, you know, if you consider it art, which it is. You'd pay that, and the man needs to earn some money. I mean, it's fucking hard work. I couldn't do it.
And the way I see it, if I'm ever in a horrific industrial accident at sea or someone like that, and a fisherman just finds an arm or my arm just floating in the river, they can stick it up on Facebook. Like, anyone recognise this? And I'll be like, I know that. That's mine. Yeah, I'll have it back and get it stuck back on. See, it's common sense, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. They talk about that in Dog Soldiers, don't they? They're like, the only bit of him that they find is like a little devil on his arse or something.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Identifying features. Is there any? Where's the most painful place you've had tattoos?
I think the elbows.
Oh yeah.
Oh no! I tell you what, I have got really prominent wrist bones. I don't know what they're called, but this bit here.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can see how prominent that is.
Yeah, I can, because it's
fucking sticks out a mile. Getting that tattooed, it was not painful, but you know that sort of where really you just want to grind your teeth into each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that. Probably.
Yeah.
That.
Well, I've got one on my ankle, and that smarted a little bit. The problem is it's my ankle. So although it didn't hurt too much, I was like involuntary, just like, oh, I couldn't help it. My foot was literally shaking. I was like, it's not even that it fucking hurts. You're obviously hitting a nerve that's making my foot spaz out like a fucking idiot. But yeah, the only other one that I was like, ooh, was here. That little bit there. That yes,
yeah, isn't it?
Yeah,
the node or something like that in there, or something like that.
I don't know, but that felt hot.
Having tattooed was mildly uncomfortable. When it was healing, it was fucking agony. That really hurt afterwards, just for the healing. But the actual tattoo was, that was not good. But the healing hurt so much more on that specific bit.
Oh, really? Well, because that's probably where I'm getting my next one, is the inside of my arm.
But it's not. It wasn't that bad. It was fine. You'll be fine.
That's fine, mate. Yeah,
we should film it.
It's a long old process, isn't it? I'm looking forward to getting more, but they're very expensive. So any viewers, if you want to send me a few £100, or even just pay it to the tattoo artist and buy me some vouchers, feel free. I will film it for you.
If there's any, if anyone's got tattoos that they're particularly proud of and want to show off, you can upload pictures to the forums on pacifistpodcast.com.
Love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, share your tattoos. Tattoos are wicked.
I would really like to see some tats, actually. Obviously, if there's somewhere like, I don't want to see a tattooed ring piece or anything like that, please.
What? Shut up. Shut your whore mouth. I definitely want to see someone who's got a tattooed bumhole.
Okay, so do upload the photo. Just put a spoiler warning or something like that on it for me. Just put a disclaimer so I don't have to look into someone's eye.
Yeah, please don't be winking at the same time. Yeah, no, I love the idea of that. And do you know what? And if you've got any tattoos that you don't like, that you're ashamed of, definitely share them. I mean, we're probably going to take the piss, but I mean, as I said, I've got flames that look like seaweed around my ankles, so I'm no better than anyone. And do you know how many builders? How many builders, when they see me doing my posting around, they're like, oi, postie. I'm like, yeah, mate, what can I do for you? They're like, your leg's on fire. I know, right?
But still, yeah, you've got to do the polite laugh, haven't you? You've got to make people think they're funny, otherwise they'll just fucking get all depressed and shit, I guess.
I just keep walking along like,
oh, fuck off and get back to work.
But I took one of my earphones out to listen to that. Just fucking... And I can smell the weed you're smoking, you fucking idiot. They're always smoking weed. I know full well that if anyone is shouting at me from a van, when I walk past that van, I'm gonna smell weed. That's just what happens. It's like, yeah, on a daily basis. I yeah, I've never been able to do that while I'm working. But yeah, what else do I want to talk about? Monoliths, Mushu, monoliths. So I'm assuming everybody has been seeing these monoliths that are popping up. Where was it? Was the first one in like a national state park in America? I want to say Arizona.
I think there's been a couple in Utah.
Yes, yeah. They just appeared, didn't they? Out of nowhere. Then there was another one. And did I hear right that there's now one on the Isle of Wight?
Indeed, there is. First of all, there was one in the desert in Utah.
Yes.
It was strange. It's now been torn down by a load of religious nuts. Well done, guys. Yeah. We don't want any Mexicans or aliens or any kind of invaders into our country. They also threw in that it's gay. And then kept shouting about Jesus Christ while they were tearing it down. Like, well done, religious guys. Once again, you fucked it for everyone. Then there was one turned up in Romania, I think.
Okay.
Then one turned up back in Utah on a street corner.
Yeah.
And now we have one in the Isle of Wight in Compton Beach. Apparently, I saw this on the Isle of Wight, one of the local news sites, which is dubious at best.
Is it the County Press one?
No, the Island Echo.
I don't follow that one. I follow the Isle of Wight news ones because I find them very amusing.
Yeah. The Island Echo, it's the guy that runs it. I'm not a big fan of his. He's an ambulance chaser. He's a despicable person. He's got no real concern for any humans out there. All he cares about is spreading gossip as fast as he can. However, I was dubious about this thing because it did look a little bit Photoshop. Because for anyone that hasn't seen them, the monoliths are basically triangular columns. I'm sure there's a word for that mathematically, but I can't remember what it is. And they're made of very reflective metal, like a mirrored metal. I don't know what metal. I haven't really looked into it that much, but the problem with that is photos of them look very photoshopped.
Yeah, because they're very shiny, aren't they?
Yeah. So I was dubious when one turned up on the island, but a friend of mine has gone down and seen it in person, and she's confirmed that it is there.
Have you not been down to see it then?
No, I only found out about it today. I don't know how long it's been there for, and I've had the kids today, so I couldn't get out really. So
hang on, because heaven forbid you should take your children to a beach.
not when it's fucking cold.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be said. It is Baltic at the moment. I don't know if you can see my breath, but yeah, it is fairly chilly. Yeah.
So I should just point out as well, for the pedants out there, because I know there will be some watching going, it's not a monolith because monoliths are made of stone. Yeah, you're right. It's not a monolith, but it's just an easy thing to call it.
Yeah.
So we're going to call it a monolith, even though it's technically not.
Well, it's also what everybody else has been calling to it. I'm not going to use the correct term, which is a word we don't know, when everybody else is referring to them as a monolith.
You don't want to be that guy when they're all talking about the monolith and you're like, do you not mean massive shiny metal erection? And everyone's like,
oh, you mean the giant dildo? Of course. Yeah. Brilliant. Obviously.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's fascinating though, isn't it? I mean, I assume that it's just some sort of incredible advertising campaign for like AT&T. Is it AT&T? Are they the biggest phone company in the world? They've got their fingers. Yeah. I assume it's something, the best advertising campaign I've ever seen for like 5G or something like that. But could you imagine if it's something else? Because in this day and age, how is this shit turning up without it getting caught on CCTV? You can't just put, what are they, 10 foot high?
Yeah, I'd say they look about that.
Yeah, you can't just stick a 10-foot high metal schlong in the middle of a city. I mean, you could do the Outback ones fairly easy without being seen, but someone's going to see it. Everybody's got Ring doorbells these days, and they get set off the second somebody walks by. There's no way people aren't trawling through their Ring data just to see if there's a truck with a big, great metal schlong.
No, but you're right. Someone would see it. Someone would. I mean, that's quite clever how they've managed to do that.
Yeah.
I think, I'm inclined to agree in the fact that it's almost definitely likely to be either A, an advertising campaign, or B, an art installation. Because you look
I mean, it could just be Banksy's new work.
Banksy's been doing shit like this for ages. And he started to branch out from the normal stencil paintings, you know, in terms of, I don't know if you saw that piece of art that he recently went on auction in Sotheby's.
The shredded one.
Which was amazing. For anyone who doesn't know, he built a shredder into the bottom of the frame, and as soon as the piece of art sold, it automatically started shredding itself, which they managed to stop halfway through. So they've got half of a Banksy and then a load of spaghetti coming out the bottom of the frame, which I think makes it even more valuable. I'd be even more likely to buy it like that.
It was like an ironic thing, wasn't it? It was just like to show the value of things. That it's pointless. He's brilliant. I hope he never reveals who he is, because that's one of the mystique makes it so much better. Because I've got a Banksy on the wall, the "Keep Your Coins, I Want Change" one. Have you seen that one with that homeless guy on his sign? Yeah, I absolutely love that. It's probably my favourite print, apart from Da Vinci's Starry Night with Hogwarts on it. That's my second print that I own.
A true classic.
Yeah, a true. I just saw it and I was just like, "That's beautiful."
Now, I'm not a big fan of art as a whole. I generally hate it. I could probably do a whole show about how much I hate art in most of
behave. There's art for everybody. There's always an art for everybody. Like Borderlands.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. There is art. It's the modern art that I hate. All this fucking like, oh, this is meant to represent humanity's uphill struggle. No, it's a fucking wonky strip light that you've painted blue. That's not art. I'm not a big fan of it, but I think my favourite piece, if I was going to pick a bit of art, would be the picture of Jesus Christ that lady did in the church after accidentally wiping off.
It was so good. It was so good. Is that? I got you, fam. Don't worry. I got
it. Fucking balls on her just to do that and be like, yeah, no one will notice that.
Yeah. It was so brilliant. I love that. Oh, Doris, you crafty wench. Yeah, it was so brilliant. Like, I need to clean up. It's all right. I'll put his eyes back on. I'll do my lipstick every day. It'll be easy.
How hard can it be?
It's absolutely fantastic. I'm not an art connoisseur. I've been to many art galleries over the years, and if I'm 100% honest, most of it I just don't get. Don't get it. But certain things, like Starry Night, for instance, I think that's just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, there's reasons why people love that painting.
I think the general basis, the basic sort of premise of art is it's anything that's designed to elicit feelings within you, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And I think this is why these monoliths are likely to be an art form, because they're instantly going to get talked about. Anything that people don't understand or could possibly relate in some way to aliens or extraterrestrials or anything like that, people are going to talk about. It's going to get publicized really quickly. What better way for an upcoming artist, sculptor, something like that, to get himself known than to just chuck up random installations around the world, get people talking about it, and then just come out and be like, yeah, by the way, that was me. That was one of my art projects. I mean, instantly, they'll all be famous, so they'll sell for fucking so much money. One of 5 from around the world, you know.
Yeah,
it's a clever idea. I reckon that's probably the likely answer for it.
Yeah. It's just that someone trying to get on the Banksy bandwagon, which they have done. They've done fantastically, because Joe Rogan's social media is where I first saw it, And it being 2020, as we all know, has been one of the most shit years in current history. I mean, there have been way worse tragedies. Not fucking Steps singing a bad song. Yeah. There have been years that have been 100% worse than what we've had, but this one has just been a fucking drag. Nothing about this year has been exciting, apart from, of course, the creation of this podcast, which, as we all know, is the greatest thing since the bread slicer. So putting something up that's a little bit mysterious, and it isn't just a stencil on a wall, and it's alien, and it's out there, and it's in random places. Like that one in Utah, was Utah, wasn't it? Yeah, the one in Utah could have been there for a year before people saw it, but the second that they saw it, again, Joe Rogan puts a post up. He's like, "Oh yeah, because that's exactly what we need in 2020." Fucking alien artwork. I was just like, that is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I had no idea that one had appeared on the Isle of Wight.
No, yeah. I might pop down and have a look at it tomorrow. I might try and get a picture of myself with it and stick it up on the old website or something along those lines.
Oh, that'd be great. If you do get a picture of you with it, send it straight over and I'll stick it now. And if he doesn't, I'm going to put the words "he didn't" now.
That's happened before, hasn't it?
It's becoming a
constant. But as far as aliens go, I think if aliens wanted to do anything in relation to our planet, going down and just sticking up some random fucking things is probably not what they'd do.
Yeah,
it'd be like us going to Mars and just be like, we're going to go over to Mars and we're just going to put up some signposts. You know, technically none of us live there and no one's going to see it. We'll just do it. Yeah,
why not? Well, it's like when we put when we put a flag. Well, we didn't. When the Yanks put a flag on the moon. I mean, it doesn't really serve any purpose. I mean, for instance, it could just be a flag. I'm more inclined to believe, and this is a skeptic in me, that the Isle of Wight one is just a copycat, because your Isle of Wighters, your corkheads, if you will. You've got quite a lot of amazing artists. They are everywhere. It's so weird. Every time I go over there, I'm just like, there must be more artists per square mile on the Isle of Wight than anywhere else. But it's just everywhere. And there's loads of really good ones. And it just wouldn't surprise me if some metal worker who does wicked sculptures is like, do you know what? I could fucking make one of them. Tell me a couple of hours. We'll go stick it on a beach where there's no cameras and some good surf. All those stone surfers out there are going to shit their pants when they see this bad boy erected up overnight.
I'm likely to. I'm inclined to believe to agree with you there. That's definitely someone just be like, oh, I could do. But that's the thing. Once it happens and people see how much they get talked about and how popular they are, everyone wants to do it. Everyone's going to do, I'm going to put one up as well, and they won't know the difference.
Yeah. I mean, it'll severely backfire if it's something from like the Westboro Baptist Church or some shit like that. It's something that they put up. It's like a big anti-gay art installation, or what else do they hate?
The signal to their return to politics.
Yeah, I didn't know. Take it down.
I did see one guy, bless him, who is I think he was some sort of self-appointed expert on alien technology and stuff like that, who is trying to look into these things. He professionally examines this sort of phenomenon.
Was it Bob Lazar?
I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was one of the famous ones. It was just this guy. But he made such a cock out of himself. But there's this great bit where this was when there was only 3 of them known, the 2 in Utah and the 1 in Romania.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what's really interesting is their triangular shape. And what I thought was, if I draw dots between, like connect all of them up on their place around the world, it actually forms a triangle.
3 dots? And straight
I fell out my chair. Hang on, you've got 3 dots, you've connected them all together, and it's formed a triangle? What sort of wizardry is this?
Oh my God. That's amazing.
He said it was such authority. Like, there you go. What more proof do you need that aliens exist? I've made a triangle out of 3 separate points.
Amazing. Oh, God's sake. That's incredible. But you've reminded me, I finally finished the latest series of Curse of Oak Island. And any of our regular listeners will know that I'm a sucker for that dog shit show. And again, in this season, what did they find? Do you want to take a guess? What?
Did they find nothing by any chance?
Yeah, they found fuck all. They found some cool things. Again, more interesting, out of place stuff like 1300 pickaxe, a pickaxe from the 1300s, 100 feet underground on an island that's got an elevation of 50 feet. I mean, real, just weird, out of place shit. But no, they found no gold at all. And then they got deep and it looked like they were going to find something. And then it just became a little bit unsafe. And they're like, "What? Stop, fill it in." But I've got a sneaking suspicion that, so you know about the money pit and they just do big boreholes and they put it all up and then they go through all the stuff. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they're going to end up doing the big dig, which is what I was talking about last time we spoke about this, that they just need to dig the fucking thing up. And they went through, there's one guy's a skeptic and he clearly holds the purse strings and he's like, I think there's actual evidence here to do the big dig. And he's like, but the problem with the big dig is this isn't millions. This is tens of millions to do. There's a reason why we haven't fucking done it. And what they've got to do is they're going to make like possibly make like 100-meter wide diameter circle. And then they've got to get like metal sheets and drive them 100 meters down to sort of frame it in. And then they're going to hollow that out. And that should stop all the water. And it hopefully should incorporate the area where these things possibly are, and to dig it up. And that is all I want to see. I don't want to see digging any more boreholes. It's so annoying. I'm like, they pull it up and they never pull any fucking gold up. They just pull up manky old bits of iron.
Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing if they did all of this and they got down there and there was just like a treasure chest or one ancient manuscript just with that on it, just playing the long game. You'd just be looking at it, fuck, tens of billions of pounds.
Better than that, and there might be 1 or 2 people listening who are going to fucking hate me for this, but just a piece of scripture, a bit of papyrus or something like that says, "I lost the game."
No. As has everyone else.
Yeah, you're welcome, everybody. Yeah, I will never stop watching that bloody show. It's so frustrating. It's just, I need to know what's at the bottom of it. I can't wait until they eventually get to the bottom of that hole and they can either disprove it or just stop. I mean, how hard can it be for, what channel is it on? I think it's on History or Discovery or something like that. I mean, 10 million out of their budget, it's got to be fuck all. I mean, they can surely afford that, especially if they find something. If they find something, they're going to get a whopping great cut of it, aren't they?
They almost definitely could. But the thing is, at the moment, they're on a cash cow because people are tuning in watching their show. Why would they end a show that people are tuning in watching?
Well, they said he said when he was talking about it, one of the Laguna brothers, I think that's what their names are, he was like, this is, not only will it cost tens of millions, it's like, it'll take years to do. It will genuinely take years to do because it's such a small season and it will be such an enormous task to undertake, that regardless of if they do it or not, it's it will still take like 3 years to actually get it complete, which is but they should definitely do it. It would be, the stuff they found is just so out there and it's so ridiculous. Next thing you know, there'll be a monolith on that island. I mean, sorry, I went off on a tangent. I was talking about the fucking show. Well, you were talking about that expert who was like, oh, and they line up into a triangle. They had some art experts come on there saying, oh, it's all the pentagrams. And they basically just got a picture of the map using a couple of points, just drew a pentagram on it with a biro. And they're like, and you can see it lines up perfectly. It's like, not really though, does it? I mean, it kind of lines up because you've drawn it that way. But I mean, if you turn it upside down, it's not lining up. It's not lining up at all. So, I mean, if you were looking at it from north to south instead of south to north, it doesn't work. It only works in like a particular way. But I think we've got like a predisposition to see patterns in stuff that we find recognisable, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's not quite as stupid as a guy saying, "Oh my God, there's 3 markers and they do make a triangle." Well,
yeah,
no shit.
If you took 5 points and you gave them to someone like a demonologist or something like that and said, connect these points, how do these points connect up on a map, say, chances are they'd draw a pentagram or something like that and be like, oh, look at this. You give it to someone that's got no idea of what a pentagram is, no idea of anything spiritual or anything like that, chances are they're just going to draw a pentagon, like the shape.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's so funny you said a pentagon there, because I was like, oh shit, what's a 5-sided shape called? All I could come up with, a house. It's like, yeah, they draw that house shape. You know, it's a sort of almost a square on the bottom, and then it goes into a point. But yeah, Mushu, you're right. It is a pentagon.
I know. I don't hold the same difficulty of grasping shapes as you do, apparently.
I'm an absolute idiot. Well, I think we need to wrap this beast up, mate.
Say we've waffled on for quite a while now.
I know, right? Did you cover any of your talking points? Did you cover like anything other than monoliths?
Fat guy. I've got fat guy who can't breathe written down on my notes. I shit myself.
I just shit myself, Mum. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. Oh man, that was fun. I enjoyed that. We need to be more structured for the next one, I think. Actually cover some
structure's the problem, mate. I mean, both of us made notes for this and we still fucked it. I think I think we just have to resign ourselves to the fact that we're going to talk shit constantly about anything, regardless of what the subject is.
Yeah, we are. So what are we asking from people then? We want to see your tattoos. And you upload. Oh, say again. You crackled there.
So I just said, please, tattoo pictures. Let's see your good tattoos, your bad tattoos. Maybe tell us whether you consider them to be good tattoos or bad tattoos, because I don't want you sending in your best tattoo and me being like, yeah, right, looks like it was done by a blind chimp. I'd like to avoid that kind of embarrassment and insult. So yeah, but send some in. I'll stick my bad tattoo up, and we might even get Sam's seaweed. You never know.
Yeah, totally. Well, Moosh, if you on the pacifistpodcast.com people. .com. Do you realise how unlikely it is that we got .com? I know I go on about it all the time, but that's amazing. Why don't you start a thread on the forum page for your tattoos, and then people can just upload a picture straight to that, can't they?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I think it'd be brilliant. But that's all I've got today, because I've lost track of how many days I've been working, by the way. You know, I was just like, I'm going to try and break my record, which was something like 43 days in a row. I'm just so exhausted. I've forgotten what number I've got to. It's bad. I think it's 5 weeks, but I'm not sure.
Either way, if I could just, on the subject of the pacifistpodcast.com, I know I keep going on about the forums, but I do kind of want people to throw in some suggestions for new books, new music, new films and shit like that, because I'm really starting to get stale. I've completed Netflix. I'm halfway through Amazon Prime now. I need some decent films. Films that, you might think that people don't, other people wouldn't have seen, anything like that. Any hidden gems, books as well. And especially music. I like any kind of music. So if it's something that you like, please suggest it in the forums. That's more for my personal sanity than anything else.
Can I give you a recommendation that's on Now TV? Probably the only one you don't have.
No, I've got Now.
I think it's called either The Hunt or The Hunted. Have you seen that?
No, I don't think so. It's not Hunted, is it?
And it's about a group of people get dropped off in the middle of nowhere and then they get hunted by rich arseholes.
Oh, yeah? Right. No.
No, I think it might just be called Hunted, actually. But it's got the word hunt in it somewhere, and it's relatively new. It only came out. Oh, I don't know if it came out this year or last year, but within the last 2 years. It's brilliantly awful. I absolutely loved it. It's got Hilary Swank in it. It's got It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Not Mac, but the other one, the Sex Pest one. Fuck, what's his name?
I don't know his name, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's got him in it, and I don't often see him in movies, and a couple of other famous faces. But it's just brilliant. It's so awful and cheesy. It's got some wicked fighting in it, like absolutely brilliant fighting. There's this bitch fight in it at one point, and they go through a couple of windows, and then they comes up and they get to like sorry, it's a spoiler, but I'm giving it to you anyway. They get to another window on a door. And the girl who's sort of taken a bit of a pasting at this point, she's already gone through 2 windows, and she's like, "No more windows!" And she literally opens the door handle, and then they continue fighting after they walk through it, instead of getting thrown through. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's meant to be a comedy, but I was laughing my ass off. I thought it was fucking great.
I'll check it out. Thank you very much. Yeah. So any more of them? Yeah, chuck them my way. Chuck them onto the forums. Just stick a post up there. Keep an eye out for some fucking tattoo masterpieces of one way or another, I guess. So I'll wrap up then, shall I? I mean, I think we've spouted enough bullshit for now. We've still got plenty more to spout on another day, so we'll save it.
But if I hadn't looked at a clock, we probably would have ended up going for another hour. I didn't even realise. Yeah, it's frightening. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Do like and follow on Facebook, YouTube, everything like that. Drop in, join up on the website, join us. There'll be some competitions and shit like that turning up soon. But I haven't spoken to you about that yet, Sam. But yeah, keep an eye out, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much. See you later, people.